This workshop is designed to teach you about the credible resources you can use to draft your own application materials. Many doctoral students and postdocs have questions about the differences between a resume and a CV and how to craft each. This may be the first time that you're creating a resume and writing a cover letter. Remember, your goal is to craft application materials that quickly show hiring managers that you do have the skills that they're looking for and that you can successfully pass through an automated electronic applicant tracking system, also known as ATS, that scans and scores application materials using keyword matching. This workshop will show you how to develop written application materials that move you on to the next phase of the hiring process so that you can present yourself and your skills in an interview. I will begin by spending a few minutes on some basics with career services. Then I will offer general advice for CVs, resumes, and cover letters. I will also show you where to find 2 resources that have examples of all 3 of these. The first thing I want everyone to know is that there is a network of career services offices, depending on which college or school your doctoral program or your postdoc program is located. You would access the services in one or more of these 4 career centers. All doc students and postdocs have access to career services through the University Career Center and the President's Promise. That website is careers.umd.edu. Through your primary career portal and C4T, you can register for events, see job postings, and other online resources such as Interview Stream, where you can practice for an upcoming interview that you may have. So, how do you find more information about services for doc students and postdocs? The professional and career development information is located on the grad school website. There is a Go link, go.umd.edu/PhD career info. On this website, you can find a link to all of our workshops, the services we provide, tools and resources for you, previous recordings, and more. I've also provided Susan's email address along with mine, should you like to contact us at any point. What you see on the left is a model for PhD career development. Most students come in to see us when they're starting to search for an internship, post-graduation job, or a postdoc, which is the blue quadrant of the model. But in reality, career development process starts with understanding your skills, interests, and values, the green quadrant. The pink quadrant has to do with researching your career options. This quadrant is really about knowing yourself in a very systematic way and being able to talk about what skills you have to offer to employers. Then you can have a better understanding of the careers that you're considering. We find that many times doc students and postdocs haven't thoroughly investigated what their options are. All of you are strongly encouraged to develop a plan, which is the purple quadrant. Using the Individual Development Plan or IDP form available on the grad school website, doc students and postdocs should set some goals for each year so that by the time they're ready to graduate, you'll be prepared for the career of your choice. To the right of the model on the slide is a list of 10 competencies every PhD needs to develop to manage their career. This workshop is focused on number 7, helping you learn to draft, edit, and tailor effective resumes, CVs, and cover letters. The job application process begins with submitting your application materials. Employers can sometimes receive up to 100 to 200 applications, so that means that your materials really need to stand out. The average amount of time hiring managers or committee members spend scanning a resume for an industry or nonprofit type of position is somewhere around 30 seconds. They quickly decide if an applicant is a yes or a no, especially when they have so many applications to review. So out of hundreds of applications, they select maybe 25 to review more carefully. And then they will decide to do a phone or an online interview with a pool of maybe 10 candidates. And of those 10 candidates, they might invite 3 to 5 for an actual in-person interview. The point here is that your applications need to be focused and capture the attention of whoever is reviewing them, or be scored highly by the ATS, or you will never get the chance to present yourself in person in an interview. All right, so let's begin by addressing a very common question. What is the difference between a resume and a CV? CVs are often used when searching for academic or faculty type positions. It lists your teaching experience, your research experience, and the kinds of service you've done at your institution. CV formats vary by discipline, but they are focused on showcasing the prestige of your academic and research accomplishments and publications. If you're looking for a job in industry or nonprofit organizations, you're definitely going to use a resume, and it has a totally different focus. Whereas the typical CV of a new PhD may be 3 or 4 pages, an industry resume is 2 pages at most. The resume lists previous positions, volunteering, and projects that are related to the position you're applying for. You emphasize skills that you've used and describe the things that you have accomplished. Employers want to see very quickly when they scan your resume that you have the skills and experience that they are looking for. LinkedIn is used by about 80% of employers. LinkedIn is going to be another primary tool that you will use when you job search. You may hear that you don't need a LinkedIn account, but that is not true. You should have a LinkedIn URL account in your resume. Now that I've briefly discussed the differences between CVs and resumes, let me explain what goes on in a CV. Most of you are probably more familiar with CVs than resumes at this point. There's generally a long list of categories of information that showcases your education, research, teaching, publications, presentations, service, and awards and honors. You should look at the CVs of faculty in your department and ask your advisor and other students in your program for recommended formats in your discipline. On a resume, you will list any types of experiences that you're having here at Maryland, including RA-ships, GA-ships, and TA-ships. Your resume will also list previous relevant experiences from before now. You can list other work experiences, so part-time jobs and internships. If you've had some really significant unpaid work experiences like managing a budget for an organization or volunteering experience, you can include these on your resume as well. If you've served in any leadership roles in student organizations or graduate student government, you can describe those experiences and treat them as unpaid work or leadership experience on a resume. The same thing applies if you've held a leadership role on the Dean's Advisory Boards, Orientation Committee, mentorship programs, or the like. On a resume, you will oftentimes list membership in professional organizations because they show potential employers that you're connected in these professional networks and stay current on the trends in your field. And if you've never created a resume, or even if you already have one, I recommend starting with a master resume in Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Don't worry about the formatting yet. Rather, make a list of all the type of experiences that you've had. Get the dates there, the supervisors that you've had, the job titles, etc. You want to do this because later on, when you find the job applications, you will need this information. I would also encourage you to start developing effective bullet points that describe the task that you completed and the outcomes. Each bullet point should start with an action verb, describing what you did and include any results. For example, rather than saying that you graded assignments, you might say, I served as a teaching assistant for 150 undergraduate students in general biology. These bullets will show how you did the job and what the outcomes were. Oftentimes, for those who haven't written a resume before, you may struggle with the action verbs. There are lists online and also in the TERP guide. When you create this kind of master guide, it becomes your raw material for what you're going to use later for more targeted resumes. So let me talk about targeted resumes. Every resume that you write when you apply for a job is going to be targeted for that specific position. This may feel overwhelming now, but once you know what type of position that you're looking for, you can create a general resume for that type of position, and then you will tailor it based on what that specific job posting calls for. Most PhDs can have a 2-page resume. The typical undergrad resume is 1 page. You'll see advice saying that a resume should never be more than 1 page, but PhDs often need 2 pages to fully showcase their skills. You might choose to organize your experiences into different sections, depending on the kind of skills that the job is looking for. For example, you might have a research experience in a communication and writing section. If you work with Dr. Susan Martin individually, you'll hear her say, when you read the job posting, what are those 2 or 3 broad buckets of skills that they're looking for? That might be the way that you organize your experience, and this allows the reader to quickly see that you have those skills that they are looking for. Experiences in each section of a resume are organized in reverse chronological order, meaning you list the most recent positions first. On a resume, you don't have to include everything that you've done. You also don't have to include in the bullets every single task that you performed. Organize it in a way that shows the reader that you have met the requirements and desired qualifications for that job posting. Oftentimes for PhDs, the types of jobs that they are going for are going to involve writing and presenting. And on a resume, it would be okay to have a selected list of publications and a selected list of presentations that are relevant to the position. PhDs often ask if they need to include a cover letter when applying for an industry position, and the usual answer is yes. Industry cover letters are typically 1 page long, whereas academic cover letters can be up to 2 pages in length. Industry cover letters are much more direct than academic cover letters. They have a business professional rather than an academic tone. The first paragraph is formulaic. You tell them the position that you're applying for, and you name the skills and experiences that make you a strong applicant. By naming them in the first paragraph, you're setting the roadmap in the second and maybe third paragraph, a summary and examples of your qualifications. In the closing paragraph, you describe why you are a good fit. You demonstrate how you understand why your skill set is aligned with what they are trying to accomplish. Even though this is formulaic, you're putting some thought into this. You're telling them why you were a good fit for this position. And I'm going to show you where to find examples in a few slides. As I mentioned, academic cover letters are up to 2 pages in length, and they should have a scholarly and academic tone. Think about who is going to be reading them, a faculty search committee. Always keep your audience in mind. In an academic cover letter, you begin by explaining where you're graduating from, your program, and then you make the case for why you are a strong candidate for this particular faculty position. The next paragraph explains your dissertation research and research directions. You usually include your teaching experience and interests and how you're going to contribute to the department or the institution. The tone is scholarly. If you're applying to a teaching position, the cover letter would emphasize your teaching. If you're applying to a research institution, it would emphasize research while still mentioning your teaching experience. You also have to be aware of what the particular institutional mission and departmental values are when writing your cover letter and other required statements, and place emphasis on those. I now want to briefly tell you about some resources that contain resume and CV examples. The first place is in Imagine PhD, and this is found at imaginephd.com. This is a free career planning tool developed for humanities and social science PhDs, but STEM majors use it as well. More information about Imagine PhD is on the grad school website. It contains information about 16 different job families, one of which is faculty. Imagine PhD contains information about the research-intensive faculty roles and teaching-intensive faculty roles. There's information about each of the job families, job postings that were pulled in from various sources, and sample application packets. For the sake of this example, I'm showing you the teaching-intensive job family in Imagine PhD, but I would encourage you to explore the 16 job families. Once you are in one of the job families, you can click on the Apply quadrant, which is where you can see different job postings and sample application packets. When you click on the cover letter, for example, it will have highlighted section with editorial comments about why these parts are important. The sample job application packets behind each of the 16 job families are very helpful and will show you different resume and cover letter examples. I've already mentioned most of these resources, but something that I really want to call your attention to is number 6, the article about applicant tracking systems. Sometimes your application will be automatically phased out of consideration because it didn't pass a computerized screening. To increase the likelihood of successfully making it through the ATS, you have to be sure to use keywords and exact phrases from the job description throughout your resume and online application. Hiring managers using LinkedIn to search for talent also use keyword searches. That's why the language that you choose to use on your resume and your LinkedIn profile is very important. There are also many resources to support you as you develop application packets for faculty positions. I haven't mentioned the TLTC, the Teaching and Learning Transformation Center. If you are serious about a faculty position, you should be planning to participate in professional development activities with them. Go to their website to learn about the University Teaching and Learning Program. This is a certificate program that is delivered online. They also have workshops to help you develop diversity and inclusion teaching statements. The TLTC has a link to CERTL on their website as well. CERTL is a collaboration of 42 universities and is a resource that offers free online workshops to prepare future faculty. You may have noticed that I haven't talked at all about the federal job application process. It is quite different from what I discussed here today. So if you'd like to learn more about this process, go to the Grad School's YouTube channel to see past federal job search workshops that we have recorded and past sessions of the Rita Belehi Career Series that include PhD alumni in the federal government. I'd also recommend looking at Catherine Troutman's YouTube page. She's an expert on the federal jobs, and her channel is devoted to walking you through the government job process. And finally, I would recommend looking at the websites and events calendars of the University Career Center and your primary career center for more information related to the federal job process and upcoming events related to federal employment. So here are some possible things you might do next. Review the resources that I talked about here today. Create a master resume and update it regularly. And update your CV regularly. You want to have these prepared for whenever you're ready to apply for a job. You can also draft a basic cover letter that you may be able to use later. If you know the types of positions that you want to look for, you can draft a more tailored resume and cover letter. Once you have a draft, get a critique from your career center. This document does not have to be perfect for you to come in, and it's also encouraged for you to get feedback from faculty when you're applying for academic positions. You can also ask alumni in your network who are working at similar jobs when you're applying to for some feedback on your documents. Again, this is our contact information and our website link, along with our Twitter handle. And if you would like to have your resume, CV, or cover letter reviewed, you can make an appointment with staff in your primary career center or Dr. Susan Martin. And if you would like to discuss how to have this type of session or how it might be done for members of a graduate student organization, please contact me directly. Thank you for taking the time to attend this session, and we look forward to supporting you through your career development and your job search process.